3, 4, let it be. Okay, so first layer first would be what? Okay, so we are developing a banking application where customer need to apply the we can say a banking application, like they need a savings account. Okay, so in order to apply for the saving account, right? So banks will have the formalities. Okay, so in order to complete, or in order to frame those circumstances, right? Now we need to create a simple application for couple of sessions, for couple of days. Okay, so post that we will be enhancing this application. So we have taken this simple application. Why? Because you are at very basic level. In order to understand this one, so we have decided to take a very low level application, so that in coming classes, based on the types of sessions, right, types of topics as well, we will be enhancing this base application. Okay, so this is a very simple application. So so first they need to what they need to enter a basic details. Okay, now bank people will capture the basic details, like basic details nothing but what our personal details. Okay, so in order to have these personal details, now customer need to enter the base details so that they can capture. Bank people, bank representative will take the capture the basic details. Okay, so along with that, they also need few education details as well, like whether you are educated or what. Okay, so based on that as well, they will be having an internal policy. Okay, so like that one. Okay, and we'll be having an address details as well. Okay, where we need to, like, customer need to enter the address details. Okay, and next we'll be having a nominee details as well. Okay, so after completion of all these things, right, so you need to enter these nominee details as well. Okay, so now customer need to apply, need to enter the basic details form, then later on education details form, and later on address details, and after completion of all these things, they need to enter the nominee details as well. Okay, so after completing all these things, right, now user or customer need to submit. Okay, so once they submit, right, so this case will route to the one bank representative. So again it will be having a two liner, like we'll be having approved or reject. Reject, approve or reject. If it is approved, then it will route to the next carry forward route. Okay, if it is approved, then it will, the customer needs to get notify email notification. If it is reject, then they will also get a notification, and the case will again route to the email notification. Along with that, it route to the reroute reroute to customer. Okay, again it reroute to the customer, like this one. If it is rejected, then again it reroute to the what, here, up to here. Okay, so like this one we can say. Okay, again it will reroute to the this one, and again they need to enter, just a sec. Okay, so for a couple of days you need to work on this. Okay, so don't think that it is a very simple. We will be having a many rules we can have that one. Okay, now what are the rules we can uh, understand, like we'll be having work parties, we can see personas, next portals. Okay, during this application, right? Portals, we can say properties, UI, section configuration. Okay, we can say flow action, we can say flows. Okay, and we can say visibility conditions, and next cascading, and next we can say routing as well, along with that smart shapes as well. Okay, so along with this we will be having a uh, activity report definition, report definition, and next we will be having database. Okay, so along with this, so see, these are the rules which you can easily understand. Okay, so when you will learn all these things, right, parallelly I will be assigning a task to you. Okay, so with that you need to create your own application from your end, and you need to send me those application so that I can evaluate and I can give a rating. Okay, so this is a simple application for a couple of sessions only. This is not a complete application. Okay, so based on the type of lecture name. Okay, so we will be adding a more layers. More means more layers we'll be having. Like we'll be having a routing, we'll be having SLS, we'll be having a mini smart shapes, we'll be having saving the data as well. We will be having the integrate with the other systems as well, or else we give a round robin kind of thing. Okay, so these are the few technical terms, okay, which I have included right now. Okay, so no need to confuse. Okay, so don't think that this is a very simple application. Okay, so any application we have to need a happy path and as well as a negative path. Negative nothing but alternate path. Okay, so this is nothing but an alternate, this is nothing but a happy path. Okay, so any application you take, any application you build. Okay, so this topic, so this information will never ever say anyone. Okay, so they will all only say about this only happy path. Okay, so they don't create this orchestrate in the alternate level. What happens if it is reject? What happens if it is doesn't get so and so? Okay, so they will have the negative exceptions, but they won't build in the case type layer. Okay, so that's why it is so important to know what is happy path. So customer will submit, that is okay, that is for happy path. Now customer is rejected based on some internal policy, so we'll be having that separate path itself, right? Based on that only. Okay, so we need to design that one. So what happens if it is rejected for multiple times? Okay, so there will be a number of tricky scenarios, okay, on this simple application where you need to work on. Okay, so if you build this application very streamlined manner, right, so then we can have the more complexity, and we can inculcate more complexity in this application. Okay, so feel that it's a good at your level. Okay, and we can build. Okay, so right now we will be learning what banking application, banking app. We need to design a banking app. Okay, banking app for what? Bank of America. bank of Bank of America. Okay, banking app, it is a nominated called Bank of America. Okay, now we are good to go to create the Bank of America application. So before going to that, I will be explaining about a few a real time, a real time, a real time scenario of how the Pega recommends to use. Okay, so we'll be having a two type of applications we'll be having, otherwise two type of layouts we'll be having. So one is of, okay, so one is of, we can say, framework, and another is of implementation. Now Pega what recommends, okay, So we need to create a generic application on the framework layer. Okay, so we need to create a application, okay, of generic. Now, what is meant by generic? For suppose, let's take an example of Bank of America. So where Bank of America has a section called account. Okay, account. Okay, now it's having a what frame will be having uh, called as account. Okay, now we need to build an application for the account application on the framework layer. Account may be kinds of many types. Savings account, current account, and we'll be having a demat account. Like we'll be having a n number of accounts we'll be having. Like we'll be having a loan account as well. Okay, so these are the types of accounts. Okay, so try to listen very carefully what I am trying to say. So Pega always recommends that in order to build any application on the framework, we need to build a generic application on the framework layer. The generic application nothing but what account. I'm not saying that it's a savings account or I'm not saying that it's a current account. I'm only saying and nominating that Pega recommends to create a generic application. That's why I am going to create an application called account. That's it. Okay, I'm not nominating any of the types of accounts over here. Okay, right. So this is the importance of the Pega framework in Pega. Now, if I build this generic application on the framework layer, now what happens? Now what happen means, now if you want to import this application to the other Pega application, we can very well import from, we can import from here. We can export and as well as we can import. So that based on their business requirements, they can nominate their account type, their application type, and they can reuse these functionalities. Like in account, what we will be having like a, see here, customer details. Now, what are the customer details? Customer first name, last name, contact details, okay, account details, or else we can say after creation of the account details, we need to capture that account details as well. Like it should be a generic kind of thing. Okay, account details, we can say address details and all the related to the customer, right? So these are nothing but we need to create in a generic form, very generic form. Like see here, did I mention any, like savings first name, savings account, okay, holder first name, last name, or else any of the term did I use? No, right? So these are the very generic term. These are the very total of generic term. Okay, so these generic term I need to create at the framework level. Okay, now we are going to create an application called account type on the framework so that these these common properties for functionalities which we can reuse at any level, on top of it at any level. Okay, like if you want to export this framework to the other Pega application, they can use these functionalities, they can save as these functionalities based on their requirement, based on their business requirement, they can very well customize that one. So Pega recommends what? Built for one, nothing but we can say reuse. Okay, Pega always use this term called reuse. Okay, so framework, we need to build an framework application in a such a way that it should be a generic in nature. Okay, and it should reuse to the other applications as well. On top of it, if we create any sort of other applications, it should be reuse purpose. Okay, so that's why keep in mind that whatever the properties, whatever the rules we create at framework level, okay, all these level, all these rules need to be have in a generic way so that it can be reused to the other top level applications as well. Like we have top level application called implementation. Okay, now see here, we'll be having, let it suppose we will be having okay. Now we will be having here savings account. Okay, we will be having a current account, we'll be having a what demand account. Okay, so these are nothing but what implementation. Okay, so as we discussed, right, so these are nothing but what implementation. You're understanding, right?
Yes, bro.
Good. Nice, nice. Okay, so this is nothing but what implementation application. So which is built on what framework. Now we need to create an application in a such a way that it should be generic in nature, so that it can reuse to the n number of implementation applications, or we can import this framework to the any other Pega platform so that it can be reused. Okay, so this is the nature of the framework. Okay, so going further, if you want to create any application, you need to nominate your framework or implementation in a such a way that it should be a generic in nature. Okay, so that's why we need to create account. That's it. Now, what type of account? Now we need to create that application in a implementation form. That's it. Now simply we need to create as what account. That's it. Now account we will be having what in order to create an account. What type of account? Irrespective of what type of account we need. Okay. So we need few basic details. Nothing but generic details I can say. Now what are the generic details? Like here customer details of first name, last name, contact details, address details, education details, nominee details, and etc. 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 These details will be reused to the now type of accounts we have, like savings account, current account, and demand account based on the business requirement. For suppose this is nothing but implementation account now, implementation app now. So based on the implementation app business requirement of savings account, now we can very well use this one, or directly use this one, or we can save as, we can having a many save as in that one, right? No need to worry about that. We'll be having a single page list or page group we'll be having. Okay, so no need to worry. I'm using this term from now itself. Try to remember, try to integrate in your mind. Okay, so we can very well use at this level as well, like savings account, current account, and demand account. Okay, now another a big question in the questionnaire part is that what are the properties we create at the framework level? It should implementation layer apps should inherit it from the framework, but not vice versa. Like whatever the properties we create in implementation, that is not inherited to the framework. Okay, that is nothing but framework is nothing but what a parent. Okay, framework is nothing but what parent, whereas implementation is nothing but what child, we can say child. Okay, by default what are the characteristics of parent, right? What are the features available, what are the properties or rules available at the parent level? Directly Pega what it implementation app directly inherited to the parent. Okay, why? Because it's a child one. Okay, framework child is nothing but what pair frameworks child is nothing but we called nominate as implementation. Now father of implementation is nothing but what parent. Now what are the parent properties we already have at framework layer that is directly we can very well use at the child layer. That is nothing but what implementation layer. Okay, but for suppose if I have a few properties like saving, or else let it be you know nature of account. So this is the one property which I have created at the implementation layer. Okay, one of the implementation layers. Okay, so this is one property which I have created at the implementation layer. Now, can you say that, right? This nature of account, can I visible at the framework layer? Can I use this one? Can anyone say? If not, why? If yes, why? Can anyone say? So once again, yeah, please go ahead. Okay, so once again, I'm repeating my question. I have created a property at implementation layer. That is nothing but a property of nature of account. Okay, so I have, since I have created in the implementation layer, right? So can I use this one, or else can I see this nature of account at framework layer or not?
No, no, bro.
Okay, may I know the reason? May I know the reason?
From framework we can use in the implementation, but if we create in the implementation, we cannot use in the framework.
Perfect, good answer. Okay, see here. So whatever the properties we create at the framework layer, right? So that would directly inherit it to the implementation, but not vice versa. Okay, but not whatever the child properties we have, that will not inherit to the parent directly. That is the nature of the Pega. That is nothing but we can say inheritance concept, that we will have a separate session on this. We will be, learning all these things. Okay. For now, this is the structure. This is the structure. So I will be asking a many doubts, okay, many doubts on the while creating an application right now. Okay, so don't get confused. Okay, so this is the heart of the inheritance, heart of the framework, and as well as the implementation. Okay, now what? Framework on the top of base layer, we will be having a organization. On the top of organization, we will be having a framework. On the top of framework, we will be having an implementation layer. Okay,